Okay, so my book, The Tragedy of Trauma, in no small part, like I've said before, the Greek tragedies, which were an attempt to treat trauma. Buddhism, an early protocol for treating trauma. Nietzsche's Birth of Tragedy, he himself a victim of trauma. He codified the experience of trauma, thus giving birth to psychology. The Birth of Tragedy being his first book, The Genealogy of Morals being another piece of that, right? Good versus evil. But, geez, what was I saying? Morning. Okay, sorry, I remember now. So, the title is by an accidental reference to Nietzsche's The Birth of Tragedy. But I thought maybe a subtitle might be taken from Zarathustra, the subtitle being A Book for All and None. I argue my subtitle, again, Tragedy of Trauma, tells the story itself. The title tells the story. So, to go one step deeper and or tell more of the story. So the title is The Tragedy of Trauma, a book for all, and yet only so few. Right? This idea that trauma affects everyone. I love that. It affects everyone, but it becomes an affect unless treated. Thus, early Buddhism being a treatment protocol for trauma, critical thinking being the exact same thing, right? Manage your emotional regulation so you can cognate. In fact, there was a lady, calls herself a technologist, essentially came up with this very idea that we're supposed to manage our relationship, our reactions, our perceptions, meaning. So, book title, The Tragedy of Trauma, a book for all, and yet so few will actually take advantage, will actually know thyself, therefore look to unburden themselves of their trauma, right? Like Northrop Frye, it's not that we can live a life free of trauma. We can only prepare ourselves for the inevitable and unpack, unwrap, and heal any previous trauma or maladapted behavior, coping mechanisms, whatever you want to call it. So yes, The Tragedy of Trauma, a book for all, and yet so few.